Okay, so I'm just changing the router bits on the Perfling routers. I'm just going to unplug everything. They're all hooked up on the same outlet, so they're all unplugged now.
Okay.
So I have this piece of maple, which I squared up, so I have a completely square edge. The back ones obviously work, like you can see my little drawing here. The back of the ukulele has the camber to it. So I'm looking at that. What I do is I just sit it back into the trough that I routed from before, and then I route a little bit further. What I'm really looking at is the depth. And so I'm checking that I'm putting them back in so they're identical, so nothing happens weird when you use them again.
So, and what you're trying to avoid is when you change the router bit, you're trying to avoid setting it incorrectly, so that when we route an instrument, it should be up to spec. So by routing into this board, this is basically a test piece.
Yes, exactly. And so the real danger is if you route it too deeply, then you come to put your binding in, and it's going to drop below, and there's nothing you can do about that.
Yeah.
So that would absolutely ruin us. So I'm just making sure the depths are the same.
Can you show a router bit and a bearing so people understand the technology?
Yeah,
a little bit.
Is good. So you come back in. Okay, so here's a new one up here.
And we get these from LMI, correct?
I'm not sure. Yeah, they're just a standard.
What does it say on it? Yeah, Luthier's Mercantile.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so they're covered in this sort of jelly so that they protect the sharp edges when they're being shipped around, which is really fun to pick off. You know, it's like picking a scab. It's really good.
Speaking of scabs, how's your finger?
Look at that. It's looking
That's
pretty
good. Not bad. Okay.
Looking pretty good.
We won't tell YouTube how you cut your finger.
We won't talk about that. I can finally play guitar again without it screaming pain.
I'm in pain when you play guitar as well, then.
Yeah, right. That's a different thing, though. It's a psychological pain, Aaron. It's not physical. Okay,
brand new router bit.
All the nasties off. Just about. So there's two blades, one that side and one that side. This thing spins, and as it spins, it cuts that channel out. And then on the old bit, which I'm going to take off one of these, there you'll see there is a bearing here.
Oh, so
and that's what rides. Ooh, that bearing doesn't feel that great. That's what rides against the instrument and sets the depth this way, which again is important.
And so we have different size bearings according to which job it's for, correct?
Yes.
And then
yes, they're all sized for each instrument. So I don't have to work when I'm changing bits. I don't have to worry about the bearing because the bearing is a certain size.
right, but
So
there's like one bearing for abalone. There's
Yes.
one bearing for
Yes.
regular Perfling. Yeah.
So I'm going to take this. I mean, this bit's going to get chucked now, and you can see on the edge where it's starting to get worn. You can actually. Are you going?
Yeah, we're going again.
Okay, so I'm going to take this little screw that holds the bearing off, and there's the bearing. That's going to go in the rubbish. And here's my new cutter. And screw the screw there. And so that bearing is setting my depth that way for me. Here's one of those things that's like wastage. Is every single one of these comes
with an Allen key.
You know, it's like so.
You had a box of 100 of
Yeah,
them.
and I've actually kept. The first time I did this, I kept all of these because I thought, well, I'll still use that for something, even though it's used. And now I've got like 3 or 4 of these. It's
And
like
they're
I'm
not
not
being used,
keeping them anymore, unless I turn them into a sculpture. That's the only thing they're useful for. And when I'm tightening this up, I don't use the grips because I really don't want to upset these sharp edges. So I just sort of get it tight as I can by hand, and that's fine. There's not really anything undoing that.
Yeah.
Okay, now it's going to go back in to the router, and I'm just going to push it all the way because that's about where it was, and then I'll use the adjustment on the router itself.
Okay. You'll just test it against the board, and you'll get it in the right spot.
You want to? I'm going to drop this one in right now. So this is a.
By the way, I have like nightmares about router bits flying off and killing me.
Well, you have to get them tight. I mean, these collets that squeeze in are really. I mean, you'd really have to not tighten it up.
You'd have to be.
Okay, so this is the top, so it's square, and it's the top abalone.
So you'll look on your board for.
Which will be.
So you haven't done it.
One. No, this is the new one. So
yeah, this is top
here.
Perfling, so you're going to have to make an abalone section on that.
Top abalone.
Yeah, we haven't changed the abalone bit in a while because we use it so
Yeah.
infrequently.
And then what I'll do is it should be the same depth though.
Yeah, same depth, different.
Although, yeah. So now I'm going to undo here, and I'm going to drop it down into
that's-
my little,
What do they call that plastic thing? That's
what?
that little table that you're moving right now. What do they call that?
This
Yeah.
here?
Uh huh.
I don't know.
I don't know. The thingy.
Foot or the bed or...
You just got to move that up and down until you get the right depth.
And really, it's just that it's a. These are these are very not well adjustable on a really expensive router. You'd have a
Micro adjustment
Yeah.
or something. Yeah.
But really, what I can do now is I can look at it and I can see it's about right, and then I'm going to plug it in.
And make a test cut.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, we're gonna turn off now, Ben.
Okay.
You get back to work.
absolutely.